Well, evening everyone, and welcome back to Connect after a week off. Hope you all had a good half term and are looking forward to being back together in our Connect groups tonight as we carry on in our studies in Genesis. If you were around on Sunday, you'll know that we were looking at the tricky topic of money. We were thinking about what does the Bible have to say about money? And I think one of the things we drew out from Sunday was that what we do with our money says something about what we believe about Jesus. And therefore, what we believe about Jesus should be radically shaping what we do with our money. And I was saying that I think for lots of us, this might be a bit of a blind spot in our lives. Money isn't something we particularly like to talk about. It can feel a bit uncomfortable or awkward, or maybe it's a bit embarrassing, or maybe it just feels like it's too private and personal a thing to speak about with other people. But I think all those reasons put together can amount to being a bit of a blind spot in our lives. That's why we don't talk about it. But when we open the Bible and look at what the Bible has to say about this topic, we actually see the Bible has a lot to say. Jesus himself spoke about money more than any other topic in the Gospels. And not only that, Jesus actually had some of his severest warnings to his followers were in regards to their attitude towards money. So we see that Jesus says that if we were to sum up some of his teachings, that our attitude towards money and our attitude towards God are inseparable. They actually, what we do with one says something about the other. And so what we briefly did on Sunday to help start trying to engage with this topic and to maybe understand it a little bit more was we did a very brief biblical theology of money, where we saw that money in and of itself, it isn't evil. And the reason we know that is because it's a part of the story. God created the wealth of the earth, the treasures of the earth. God planned money to be, or anticipated money to be, a part of the world that we live in. And so we could say money and wealth is God's good idea. And therefore, if it's God's idea, it's not sinful. So we start with creation, but we see very quickly in Genesis, because of sin, because of the fall of man, our attitude towards money goes totally wrong. Because we as humanity went looking for life outside of God, we went looking for satisfaction outside of God. Because of that, we now look at money no longer with perfect motives, but now with messed up, imperfect motives because of sin. And so that's why we know what it's like. I know what it's like. I know you know what it's like to battle with money, to have pure motives towards money. That's because of the fall of man. But then we saw, as we go through the story a bit further, in steps Jesus into the mess, into the corruption, into this fallen world steps the creator of the world, Jesus, the Son of God, who has come to bring redemption, ultimately to save us from sin, from the coming wrath of God. And a part of that, as we pull the thread of money, is that he's come to save us from the love of money. As Christians, we don't need to fall into this trap. We can be set free from the love of money because Jesus has broken the chains of sin. And then we looked forward to where this story is going. The story is going to new creation. And what do we see as a part of God's new creation? We see the heavenly city. And what's it made of? It's made of the riches of earth. It's made of gold. And it's a place of wealth where God comes. And ultimately we see in this picture of wealth and treasure, this glimmering, unbelievable place, what is the center? What's at the very center? What is the ultimate treasure? Well, it's God himself. Money isn't the treasure. God is the treasure. He's always been the treasure. And we need to reorientate our hearts to remember that and to see that. And so that's what I really hope we're going to do tonight as we gather in our Connect groups, that we're going to help each other get some clarity on this subject of money. I sometimes think Connect is a little bit like it's a little bit like putting on those ear defenders. If you go to a gig and the music's so loud, you just need to protect your ears. It's a bit like that. And what I mean is that when we're out there at work or socializing or whatever it is, when we're in the world as individual Christians, sometimes the voice of the world can feel so loud. But what we get to do when we come together as connect groups is a little bit like we put the ear defenders on and we get true hearing, if you want. You know, it's no longer this overwhelming sound. We get to listen to God's word with clarity. And so, you know, the voice of the world, when it comes to money, it is loud, it is tempting. Sometimes it even sounds like it makes total sense. But we need to reorientate ourselves tonight and remind ourselves that all the treasures of the earth, none of them are ours, all of them belong to God. And so we're going to think through, what does that mean for us as Christians? How should we approach money, and how can we help each other as disciples of Jesus to grow in this area? So, hope it's a really good session tonight. I'll see you guys on Sunday.